Welcome to today's show, the after-election edition. What can I say? I probably gotta mute that. There we go. Sorry, this is the first time I'm trying to do it live, and yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, okay. Anyways, here we go. Election Fallout Edition. Yesterday, obviously, not a good day for Republicans. Couple of things probably to blame for it. Trump is part of it. When he's not on the ballot, certain people stay home. And that is often the difference between getting Republicans elected and getting Democrats elected. He is a lot like Barack Obama in that respect. Barack Obama was great at getting himself elected and pretty crummy at getting anybody else in the party elected. His coattails were nil. Trump's coattails also appear to be nil. So, shouldn't be very surprised. Off-the-year elections, that sort of thing. Here in California, Prop 50 passed, 20-some points on that. Not going to say I'm surprised. I'm probably going to end up with here in the Central Valley being represented by a Democratic congressman. Not shocked. Not shocked at all. That's kind of what you expect on this sort of thing. So, getting into this, I don't know. It took me a little while last night to expel the inner steam that was generated by Jay Jones winning the Attorney General race in Virginia. It says a lot of things about Virginians and Democrats, and none of them are good. This is from the CNN exit polling. Opinion of Jay Jones's texts, 4,531 total respondents, so that is a good sample. 41% found it disqualifying. His texts, and again, remember, his text said, Hitler, Pol Pot, and the Republican Speaker of the House of Delegates, who, prompted by the occasion of a moderate Democrat dying, said some nice things about the prominent Democrat. Jay Jones went and said, Pol Pot, Hitler, and the Republican are in the same room, and I've only got 2 bullets. I shoot the Republican twice. Then he doubled down and said, I hope that both of his kids die in their mother's arms so that he changes his views on gun control. The thing is, Jay Jones had seen these kids. The Republican speaker, brought the kids to the house during downtimes. These little kids played on the floor of the House of Delegates and in the area. And Jay Jones wished him dead. Jay Jones is a despicable human being. I wish him no harm, but were he to find himself on fire, and I had just consumed 3 double gulps from 7-Eleven, I would find someplace else to expel that waste. Put it nicely. Of the 41% of people who found it disqualifying, only 9% voted for Jones. Obviously not disqualifying enough. Of the 37% of voters don't think his comments were disqualifying. I'm guessing most of those are, if not all of them, are Democrats. That's disgusting. Haven't heard enough. You probably shouldn't be voting. Had similar thing over Fox News's exit poll. 46% said it was disqualifying, 25% concerning but not disqualifying. 10% weren't even concerned. We'll wish death on Republicans whenever we want, all the time, and twice on election day. Abigail Spanberger won the governor's race in Virginia. She had told her supporters to let their rage fuel them. Well, that worked. People of Virginia, Republicans of Virginia, I hope you can survive this, because I got a feeling that Jay Jones, one person made the comment, it's like, who lives in Northern Virginia, suspected that the only way that, or the only reason why he and his family wouldn't get killed by Democrats was because Democrats would be afraid of getting caught. I'm not sure Jay Jones would care. If they got caught, you'd probably get a good number of people on jury who figured, well, you're a Republican in Virginia, you had it coming. Jay Jones certainly has no credibility. I can't express the despair and disappointment that a majority of Virginians thought electing this guy as the top law enforcement officer in the state was a good idea. The old line is the voters have spoken, and they deserve to get it good and hard. Jay Jones should not be in politics. There's probably a good argument to be made that he shouldn't be out on the loose. I think there's probably a good argument that could be made that he should be subject to one of those red flag laws. We shouldn't be accepting of this sort of attitude, but nowadays we are. Political math, polymath, follow on Twitter, said, watching Jay Jones win even with his deeply disqualifying text scandal tells the right there is no level of hatred and evil that liberals will not ultimately tolerate as long as the candidate has a D next to their name. Not much of an argument can be made against him, against political math's point here. You elected the guy. He is a genuinely hateful and despicable person. We've got a political violence problem in this country. They attempted to assassinate Donald Trump twice. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. You had the congressional baseball team attacked at practice by a Bernie Sanders supporter and volunteer. As bad as January 6th was, and it was bad, the only person who died was a January 6th protester. And I'm sorry, this is the political left has a serious problem, and they are not dealing with it, and they are excusing it. And the fact that Spanberger and the lieutenant governor candidate, who also won on the Democratic side, refused to call on him to get out of the race, said that it failed to say that what he did was beyond the pale and he should pull out. You guys have embraced this. I don't want to hear, and frankly, let me jump ahead to this one. Mark Hemingway, thanks to Trump, the bar for disqualifying behavior is now in hell. You're going to hear that a lot, but it's not really true. What Jones did was way worse than any GOP MAGA candidate I can recall. Yes. And I would encourage people, of the left in the quotes, or when I post this on Twitter, if you have got an example of a Republican candidate for political office, or one who holds political office, saying something that you think is equal to or worse than what Jay Jones said in his texts, reply with it. I want to see it, because I too have a hard time remembering something this vile said by a Republican that did not immediately get them the boot. Similar but related note. No mentions of Jay Jones' win so far by any national gun control groups, even the one that was supposedly still endorsing him on Election Day. Costas Moros, with the Second Amendment Foundation, good guy, lawyer, good guy, even though he graduated from Sochmont. As a Helix High graduate, we generally don't like Sochmont graduates, but he's a good egg. Says, oh, don't worry, every town may not want to publicly celebrate him, but they will absolutely use him. They paid very good money for him, and they will get what they purchased. Everything they say about the NRA buying politicians is total projection. They gave Jones $300,000 for a down-ballot state attorney general race. That's not a donation. That's a purchase. Jay Jones, who wants to shoot and kill his political opponents, who wants their children to die, is now going to be filing amicus briefs or joining amicus briefs on gun control laws because he doesn't want you to have guns. He wants you dead. And he's an odious... I'm still dumbfounded by the whole thing. I will not get over this for a while. Talking about public hygiene, getting back to Mark Hemingway, he notes a case. North Carolina's Mark Robinson, who was running for governor back in 2024, got caught saying weird sex stuff and ran 18 points behind Trump and lost last year when Trump carried the state. A big chunk of Republicans did not vote for Robinson. Democrats came out and forced for Jay Jones. Democrats are in a class by themselves here. And again, this is a screenshot of the CNN report that dug up his Mark Robinson's garbage. And here are the results. He's not quite so... here's Mark Robinson on the left. He lost the race by about a little over 14 and a half points. He ran 11 points behind Donald Trump. He got 650,000 or 600,000, 600, it's all, yeah, 650,000 fewer votes than Trump. Frankly, I'm a little disappointed he got this many, but he lost, and he lost because a good percentage of Republicans said, no, we ain't playing that. Democrats cannot say the same in Virginia. Of the things, especially, and I think this is the case in Virginia, that affected the results there is Trump's efforts to cut down the size of federal government, which needs to happen. It's too big. He has not done it in a fashion that inspires confidence. It seems haphazard. It seems overly vindictive. Not that, some of that isn't warranted, frankly. But that's what he's looking at. The other problem is that you've got a bunch of federal employees who haven't been paid in a month. And I worked for a business one time where I had paychecks bouncing personally. And then I just didn't get paychecks. And I was still working. And there was a point where I went a month and a half without getting a paycheck. I was in good enough financial shape, and my wife was still working at the time, so we did have money coming in, that I could survive that. But a lot of people can't. And this government shutdown has caused serious issues. And this is where, and I mentioned this yesterday, this is where the media gets you. Every previous time the government is shut down, the power has been on the other side. It's been the Democrats trying to reopen it, and they need a handful of Republicans to join them, and the Republicans have held out. And the media, in those cases, incessantly bash the Republicans for holding the government closed. Now the shoe's on the other foot. The Republicans have done everything they can to pass a clean CR, and that's been the standard, a clean continuing resolution. We're not changing anything. We're just current spending levels going forward. We'll debate budget cuts. We'll debate, funding for the next fiscal year as part of the budget process, which they haven't been following much either. But that's been the line in the past. The line is not that this time. This time, it's the Democrats who are pushing, who will not support a clean CR. And yet, what is the spin on the big three broadcast networks? It's the exact opposite of reality. And the mainstream media get every bit of opprobrium that they deserve, because this is dishonest. And double check your work and don't trust them. We're going to move on to New York. New York has elected a communist, socialist Democrat. There's video of him saying, "We must seize the means of production." He's a communist. In his victory speech last night, he started out quoting Eugene V. Debs, who was a communist. Not sure how much he's going to be able to get done, because some of his tax stuff is going to require the state legislature to implement it. They probably aren't going to have it, aren't going to do a lot of it. It's going to be a mess. What he can do, what he will do, is make a mess of things. Again, the people of New York City have spoken. They deserve to get it good and hard, and they will. Move out. This I loved. This is his. This is a bit from his victory statement the other night. I'll go ahead and play this for you.
We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about.
And Ronald Reagan's famous statement that the 9 most scariest words in the English language were, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Good luck, people of New York. I would refer you, and I'd play the thing. I chopped it up and then thought better of putting it in this presentation. I'm not sure if YouTube will catch if I play a movie clip in here. I know it will catch it if I play it full screen. I don't know if it'll catch it if I, put it in that screen over there. And it's just a small part of it. But if you've not seen it, I encourage you to check out the movie Serenity, which is based on the canceled too soon television series Firefly. The very start of that movie, there's kids in a classroom and they're being taught by their teacher about the Alliance and the Independents and how the Alliance kicked the Independents' butt, and why would anyone want to be one of the part of the Independents? And River Tam, young girl who you're later seeing, who's in the movie as an older version of herself, but this is a younger version of herself, says we meddle. We get in people's business. Zoran Mamdani wants to get in your business if you live in New York. Most people just want the government to leave them alone. Pay my taxes. Don't lecture me about global warming. Don't lecture me about all this other sort of stuff. Just leave me alone to live my life. You're not going to get that, New York. Sorry. All that complaining about billionaires and whatnot from Democrats depends on who the billionaire is. This is Alex Soros. This is George Soros' son. This guy has been funding leftist politics. This guy and his father have been funding leftist politics for decades. I'm not surprised. There's pictures of all sorts of politicians who decry the oligarchs and whatnot having their picture taken with Alex Soros. They're full of it. Speaking of New York City, and again, my Jewish friends and Jewish viewers, the checks that I'm supposed to be getting for defending Jews and defending Israel, I have not received them yet. I was supposed to get $14,000 from that one ripping Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and the anti-Semites. That check has not come in yet. So again, send me an email, make a comment, find a way to get in contact with me. I really could use that money. So Seth Mandel is a writer, editor, or whatnot for Commentary Magazine, which is a Jewish magazine, Jewish political magazine. He says, it's certainly true that some of Mamdani's worst policy instincts can be stymied, but his victory itself is a dispiriting revelation about New Yorkers. Jews in the city saw their friends and neighbors throw their support behind someone with a single-minded obsession with Israel. And he's got a few screenshots from a piece that he wrote in Commentary Magazine. Encourage you to check it out. You may have to buy a subscription, but it's worth it. He writes, but part of the reason for alarm among Jews and elation among anti-Jewish activists and voters is that Mamdani's win itself crossed a certain line because he flaunted his rageful obsession with Israel and used baldly anti-Semitic language and won anyways. Jews and non-Marxists know that Mamdani can be restrained in office to some degree. But putting Mamdani aside, there was something unnerving in the unrestrained joy it gave New York Jews' friends and neighbors to see Jew baiting used to such electoral effectiveness in the city with the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. It will be great if Mamdani is prevented from carrying out his Jews on the brain agenda. It will be greater still if that happens because of the stiffened spines of American Jewish organizations. But what Mamdani's election says about what is acceptable to New Yorkers will be much harder to undo. The future can be stymied, but the past cannot. A good example of this is Mamdani's campaign plank regarding BDS, that's boycott, divest, sanction. The boycott Israel movement has far more failures than successes, at least in America. But that's because here it isn't actually about trade policy. BDSniks in the U.S. don't expect to destroy Israel's trade position. BDS in the U.S. is first and foremost about making American Jews feel unwelcome and multiplying the number of environments that are explicitly hostile to them. On Election Day, Mamdani reiterated his support for BDS on MSNBC. It is through that lens that he sees, for example, an opening to end economic partnerships with Israeli institutions the most prominent of which is the Technion collaboration with Cornell University. That partnership was opened initially in 2012 by the Michael Bloomberg administration and permanently cited in 2017 under Mayor Bill de Blasio and Governor Andrew Cuomo. Aside from the educational benefits, the partnership has produced over 100 startups, 84% of which are based in New York, according to the Technion. The point here is that although he has leveled even more wild-eyed threats, he vows to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, for example, Israel and the Jews are the only subjects he talks about when he talks about populations he'd like New York to freeze out. Mamdani is not a human rights activist. He's an anti-Israel extremist who uses the language of human rights to crusade against the one Jewish state. This single-minded obsession made even some of his allies in the legislature uncomfortable. When Mamdani tried repeatedly to push a bill that would outlaw certain Jewish charities, for example, he failed to garner enough support because of how clearly targeted the legislation was. State Senator Alex Bors, who backed Mamdani, but not that particular bill, told the New York Times, "I view with suspicion bills that are written to target one specific country when they could easily be broadly written to apply to a problem." I saw another person comment on Twitter that, there are things that Mamdani can do to make New York nearly unlivable for Jews. I would argue that a lot of people are going to, that when you do that sort of thing, you target a lot of innocent people who aren't Jews, because we do not create ghettos or areas where it's just Jews. Jews may have all sorts of neighbors of varying ethnicities, varying religious backgrounds, and if you go after, Jews, you're going to get adjacent fallout. One of the examples the person provided was, for example, the David Dinkins administration when you had the Crown Heights riots. Mamdani is mayor of New York and just say, just tell the police back off. Don't quash it. Let it run. We can do similar things with anti-Jewish hate crimes, which are far more common in New York than anti-Islamic hate crimes or Islamophobic hate crimes. It's at least 10-1 happens more against Jews. And he tells cops, don't just ignore them. What are they going to do? He's the mayor. Again, to the Jews of New York, purchase firearms. You are your own first responder. This is the case, frankly, for everybody. Do not count on police. When you need saving right away, police are minutes away. So again, I'd encourage our Jewish brethren to consider that. Finally, Jared Golden, Democratic representative from Maine. He is a blue dog, what's known as a blue dog Democrat, kind of conservative, kind of the Clinton after his first midterm loss Democrat, where he tacked back to the middle after spending his first 2 years kind of on the left. Reasonably conservative, but still a Democrat. He is not going to run for re-election. Announced this today. We'll excuse the failure of Mr. Golden and the editors of the Bangor Daily News to spell assassination correctly. But he writes, additionally, recent incidents of political violence have made me reassess the frequent threats against me and my family. Last year, we saw attempts against Donald Trump's life, and more recently, we witnessed the firebombing of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home, the assassination of Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota, and the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk. These have made me reconsider the experiences of my own family, including all of us sitting in a hotel room on Thanksgiving last year after yet another threat against our home. There have been enough of those over the years to demand my attention. I probably don't agree with Mr. Golden on 80% of politics. I didn't look up his voting record and where the various special interests kind of put him on that, but I suspect that he is a Democrat. Is he a far leftist Democrat? Is he a AOC, Bernie Sanders, Mamdani clone? No, he is not. Are these threats against him coming from the right or from the left? If I had to guess, they're coming from the left. And frankly, if you go to the X/Twitter link that he put up, where he links to his letter announcing his decision not to run for re-election, the people you see going after him and posting nasty memes and that sort of stuff, they aren't on the right. I got a feeling that the attacking he's getting is coming from the left. I would be very surprised if you track this stuff down, it's coming from the right. That's not where we are. Evidence: Democrats in Virginia elected Jay Jones. That's about all I've got to say in this election fallout edition of Hoystory On Air. Thanks for coming. I hope this worked out better. I did the graphics this time with cut and pasted screenshots and tossed them in a PowerPoint and running it that way today rather than going from tab to tab in a browser window. I think this works better. I think I'm going to do this in the future. Thanks for watching. Share with your friends. Again, whoever the Jewish financiers are cutting checks, make sure I get one. I've done my job. That's all I got. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining me today, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks a lot. Again, like, subscribe, tell your friends. That's what I need if I'm going to get this off the ground. Again, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.